to see the background before on what's happening right now, the story of Dara and the Muridism, where we came from, and what happened. I mean, I'm just going like to put an update. What is the challenge right now where we park, because we are talking about local development or religion motivation for local development. And then hearing Dr. Laura talking, I'm just going to say that she put the prototype. What is the prototype of local development? And then them and Baki Kajor, I think at the story point of view, was just like the starting point for the Muridism. And what Serin Babakarmo did and then is doing right now is just like to show again the prototype of how to put local development on the service of the spirituality. And then that's just quite amazing. Now, the challenge is, in my point of view, something a bit different. Say, okay, we are talking about Dara like a short area, small area. Now, when we talk about local development, we talk about city. We talk about Touba, for example, which was a small village, now is a big village, and people talking about Touba as a second city of Senegal. But it's still a local area where the reason why Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba created the city of Touba was nothing else but only for spirituality. And then talking about spirituality, allow me just to put the background, the overall, I mean, the full picture to know exactly what is the link. We used to say that the only reason we have been created is only to adore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means it's a fact we are not here as a main reason for nothing else than adorating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, moving into a city or local development, that's mean, in my point of view, a mean to live our faith properly. What Dr. Laura said, what Dr. Mohammed Boyd said also, is just to say local development is just a base. It's just a mean for us to put an appropriate spirituality for our religion. And in this case, for Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba way of life. And then local development is two aspects when we move in a business. We're talking about basic infrastructure. Coming back to what the former presentation, we know that as any city, that's Mindem or Kuba or whatever, we need water access, electricity access, sanitation, road. That's what we call basic infrastructure for local development. And we notice that the fact those areas are far from the markets or the main cities, this is mandatory in order to be able to run properly our spirituality. When we put together this fact related to basic infrastructure and the fact we need it in order to have our spirituality, we understand better why it is mandatory in our global society, in a global vision of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, we can de-link local development and the spirituality. It's not possible. The link is just like, and when we revisit, allow me just, when we talk about local development, it's nothing else than the fact to run what we call the khidma. And this word khidma, Sayyid Kuba give us a lot of occasion to revisit it when he said, and then when he said also, that's mean local development in my point of view is fundamentally linked to the value of work in the individual sense, and therefore to the notion of khidmah taken by Serin Touba, as I mentioned before. This is quite clear, but having infrastructure is not enough. That's mean, and in terms of role and responsibility, now we can say we were talking about Dara. Now we talk about Touba as a former small city village, but he's still a community rural, but we say a commune. But we can just like take the challenge to say, if Touba is a former Dara and a village, what is the challenge now when we talk about agriculture or when we talk about local development related to our spirituality and the religion? That's mean Above basic infrastructure, we need also to have a strong local entrepreneurship to create sustainable value and job. And this job value is linked to the fact each murid, in order to perform properly our religion, need to have a job, to get revenue, to give adiyah, and to take care of his family. That's where we park now, rather than this Dara model, which is very important and which is really, I don't know how to say, it is really the background, the prototype. But the main challenge now, I think, is how we can structure the local development in order to face to the main issue of the Muridism of the city of Tuba or the other city when we talk about local development. And why it is important? We say agriculture. I think that Dr. Laura and Dr. Moj stressed a lot about agriculture. It's not a nonsense. It's like all the revenue. And if you revisit the story of Senegal and mainly the Mouridism, we can notice that agriculture has always been the engine of growth. When Sahim Mohamed Mustafa was building the Great Mosque of Tuba, when he was building the railway, main revenue in order to perform this or to achieve those projects come from agriculture. That means there is something to be done or which has been done regarding agriculture in order to build up our community. Now, the challenge is now where we park. We are on 2020. Tuba is almost a big city, but still a local development is like something we need to understand. Are we still using agriculture as a leitmotif, as a pillar of the development of Tuba in order to reinforce our spirituality and the religion aspects? I think that's where really we have just like a lot of points we need to stress to understand the main challenge we are facing right now when we talk about the religion motivation and the local development. Religion motivation is like, as I mentioned before, it's mandatory for us. That's the reason why we're here. Local development, when we have lack of infrastructure, just like take some small example. Name, we just not, they have some small roads, they bring electricity, sanitation. Now, if you take the city of Tuba, when it's raining, we are facing a lot of problem in order to go to the mosque, because sanitation or water access are big issue, big problem. When we don't have electricity access, also we are facing security matters, and the main problem is the jobless regarding the new generation coming up. We have young between 15 to 25 come from Tudodara without any qualification, and then they don't know what to do. The fact that there is no job is putting the city in a very open and dangerous situation regarding to the insecurity. That's what we're facing right now. So this just come up to say the reason why we are not using agriculture in an updated way for local development is creating more problem to our community for local development rather than supporting as they did before and mentioned before, use it by Simon Mustafa or all the Khalif in order to build what we have. Putting this analysis front, we say that, okay, what is the structure of the local economy right now in Tuba? We notice that's mainly what we call the sector tertiary, talking about commerce mainly. People are more comfortable going to, outside, traveling, getting container, bringing back in Tuba, rather than exploring the full potential coming from the agriculture. And those who are just like involved in agriculture sector are more for subsistence rather than farming or rather than creating job. And then all together, we said, if really we want to move forward and then to achieve the goal, that's mean using local development as a support for the religion and the spirituality, we need to reinvent the model. Agriculture, like we were doing it before, is no more adapted to what is the requirement, what we expect for our religion, what we expect for the local development.
Okay.
That's some solution we need just like to perform, to revisit, is just like to see how Muridis can invest in agriculture in a new way and can invest in the missing link in order to make agriculture value chain and invest also to create the next generation of industry in the city of Touba. I think that's a point where I'm going to stop. Something need to be done in order to create job, in order to create something sustainable, and in order to create something very stable for all citizens of Touba in order to perform our spirituality as a way of life, as mentioned in Madhabul Fawzini by Sheikh Hamadou Bamba.
Thank you very much. I will maybe ask all the friends and brothers